Hey there, welcome in. I am Courtney Prinky, and I am a certified fitness and nutrition coach who helps busy women in their 30s and 40s and much later than that fit back into their favorite jeans or just look and feel their best without having to spend hours in the gym or giving up their favorite foods. So, part of what I teach is establishing habits around nutrition. And so that's what I want to show you guys how to do today is how to just get started with meal prepping, meal planning so that you can save time and money every single week. Um, and I'm going to assume today that you are completely new to this idea of meal planning and prepping. Maybe you've tried some other diets in the past. Maybe you've tried some other workout programs in the past, and it just never seemed to really stick. It was never something that, you could continue doing long term, and you're looking for an alternative solution. So we're going to break this down, keep it super simple. I think this is an area where a lot of people get kind of overwhelmed because there's so much information out there, right? It seems like it's a really complicated thing to do, but I want to show you how to keep it really simple, how to take out the complications, make it something that you can actually do to benefit, to add to your lifestyle, rather than trying to redo everything in your lifestyle to make this work. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, why do I encourage meal planning and meal prepping? So, I started doing this for myself and for my family. So, full disclosure, I am a busy mom. I've got two kiddos who are in competitive sports. So, our nights are spent driving around to all the different fields, and the same for our weekends. So, we don't have time to really put together, big elaborate meals, things that take a long time. So I had to find another way to keep my family fed that met my nutritional needs as well as theirs. They're growing, growing athletes for their growing bodies. And I started learning how to do meal prep because I needed to save time. I did not have time to make big fancy meals. It also helped cut down on food waste. So we were not, buying food, ordering food out, therefore wasting money, but also, throwing away half of the food because it was just too much. And it also helped us stick to, like I mentioned, my goals personally, for mine and my husband's nutritional needs, as well as for our kids. And it saved us a lot of money because it cuts down on having to go out to eat, going through the drive-through, or doing some last minute takeout to try to quickly get food on the table so we could run off to practice. So that's why I started doing it. And when I first started coaching, we I would dive into this. This was like beginner coaching mistake. I would try to show my clients how to like exercise every single day and how to plan out their entire week down to like breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the snacks. And it was overwhelming. It was too much to try to change all at one time. So I've shifted the way that I teach this a little bit, to keep it super, super simple because the the more consistent you can be, the simpler it is, the more consistent you can be, the more repetition you get, the easier it becomes, and you're more likely to stick with it long term. So, what I've done is kind of shifted the way that I teach meal planning and meal prepping to make it super simple so anybody can start doing it. So, let's go ahead and dive in. Bear with me, you guys. I am not great at drawing on this thing with my mouse, but you'll get the point. So, Step one, the biggest and most important part probably is having a plan. Now, like I said, I used to teach people how to plan out like every single meal for every single day. And I think that it was not only overwhelming, but it was stressful. If you felt like, you had planned something on a certain day and you just didn't eat it that day. It just became really stressful, and people were asking questions like, should I try to make up for it by eating it the next day? Do I try to like eat it really quick before I go to bed that night? And it's just not worth the stress. Okay, let's start very simple. I want you to think about picking 2 to 3 meals. Oh, let me draw here. Pick a couple meals. Make them super, super simple. I want you to think about how you're putting these meals together. So if I was looking at, this is a plate, it could be a bowl, it could be, I'm going to give you some examples. But when you're thinking about your meals, I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with trying to come up with something big and elaborate. Keep it super simple. I want you to think about splitting up your plate, something like this. Um, First planning and this is how we're going to plan our balanced meals. So first thinking about the protein that you're going to include. And this can be personal preference. So if you're vegetarian, you're vegan, or if you eat meat, okay, pick a protein that works for you and for your family. So this is going to cover this portion here is going to be your protein, okay? And we're going to build the meal around that protein. Then we're going to think about the carbs. Now, I need you to forget about any notions that you have about carbohydrates. They're not good, they're not bad. Carbohydrates are necessary, so you need to be including carbs as part of your balanced diet. But I want you to think about carbs in the sense of what is it doing for my body? So if we're including things like with a lot of nutrients, a lot of fiber, so I want you to think about whole grains, your quinoa, brown rice, or maybe starches like sweet potatoes, or it could be beans, okay? Beans or legumes could count as your carbs. So that's going to take up this piece right here. Sorry, excuse my bad drawing skills. And then you're going to make sure that you are including some type of fat. Now, depending on what type of protein you pick, the fat could already be included in that protein. So if you're eating fish, for example, like salmon is loaded with great omega fatty acids, or if you want to include some type of nuts or seeds, or it could be in the oils that you cook with if you're cooking with an olive oil, just keep those things in mind and that could count as your fat. And then the rest of this is going to be like your veggies, okay? So pick a veggie that you will eat, your family will eat. This is how I want you to think about your meals. Don't stress too much at first about the quantities of each one. Am I having enough during the day? This is just how I want your mind to start working when you're thinking about the meals that you're planning out. And then adjust this based on your family size, your preferences, the things that you know your family's going to eat. I recommend keeping some type of meal planner. This is a pro tip, okay? This is a bonus. If it's helpful, if you want to keep it simple when you're first starting out, you can just write it down on a piece of paper. It's not a big deal. But pro tip, if you use a meal planner or some way to keep a list, keep yourself organized, it takes all the guesswork out of it when you go throughout your week or when you're building your grocery list, okay? If you have it written down somewhere, it just takes the guesswork out. All right, so moving on. Now that we've kind of got a plan here, right? So I want you to only start with 2 to 3 meals, and it doesn't have to be the meals that you're going to eat on specific days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Pick 2 or 3 meals that are super simple that you know you and your family will eat. I'll give you an example. Like we do taco night every Tuesday. And I like doing these because I can swap out the protein, I can swap out the seasonings, mix up the flavors to keep it feeling fresh, but it's still at the end of the day, I'm following the same basic guidelines. So I pick my protein. Some weeks it's shredded chicken, some weeks it's carnitas, some weeks it's like a steak taco. Okay, so I swap out my protein depending on what my family's in the mood for that week. And then for my carbs, I choose a tortilla. So for me, I like the corn tortillas because I know they've got more fiber in them. They're going to be more nutrient dense. So that's my personal preference. My kids like corn tortillas. I mean, sorry, flour tortillas, not the end of the world, but that counts as my carb. And for fat, sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top. Sometimes I will put some avocado slices in there. Okay, again, do what works best for you. And then for my veggies, could be some, fresh diced tomatoes, could be just salsa, like super simple. But that's how I'm thinking about building my meals every single week. All right, so you're going to plan out your 3 meals, write them down, what you're going to need from there. So this is how we're going to build our grocery list. Ah, sorry, I'm going to clear this really quick. So now we have a plan, we know what we're going to be making for the week. We're going to build the grocery list based on that plan. And before you start going into that, I want you to first check what you need to make your meals. I want you to go ahead and look through your pantries and through your refrigerator and see if you already have some of these things available so you don't, have to buy things at the grocery store, wasting money, wasting ingredients, right? If you already have it at home, save yourself a little extra money. So that's an extra little pro tip for you. Then you're going to plan your grocery list based on your meals. Additional pro tip here, if it makes it easier to organize for you to save you time as you're going through the grocery store, try to plan out your grocery list around the perimeter of the store. This is where you're going to find most of your whole foods, your proteins, your produce. The pantry staples are usually at the grocery stores are going to be found around the outside. So if you try to group your list together, so maybe like for example, in my grocery store, my produce is usually on the side here when I first walk in. So I'm going to write my grocery list to include all the produce items first. So your fresh fruits and veggies going to be on that side. Okay, and then in my grocery store, and it might be similar for you, but I usually find my proteins along the back wall. That's where like the butcher is or the fresh cut meats. And your pantry staples are usually like your spices, your flours, things to bake with, cook with, are usually in those kind of end aisles there. So that's just a little bonus tip for you. If you can try to group them together, it'll save you a little bit of time as you're walking through the store. So you're not like roaming around aimlessly, going down up and down the aisles in the middle. There's usually a lot of prepackaged foods. They're not all, off limits, but it's going to be a lot more tempting to kind of grab those things and throw them in the cart. So save yourself some time, save yourself some money, and buying things and keeping things at your home that are going to be more tempting for you. Plan your grocery list and shop around the outside, around the aisles. All right, moving on now. Step three. Okay, now we've got our plan. We know what we're making this week. And then we've got all of our supplies now. We've gone through the grocery store. I usually do this on the weekends. You guys do it on a time that works best for you. So now we've gathered all the materials that we need from the grocery store. You're at home, you've got some time. How do we cook things in a way that makes it simple during the week so we can either reheat things or throw the ingredients together in one skillet and cook it and get food on the table as quickly as possible? So I highly recommend that you look for ways to batch cook some of the staples, like the things that are going to be make up a large part of your meal or that usually take a long time. So things like your grains. So if you're making rice with a dinner, so you might want to cook that ahead of time, or like your quinoa, or if you're doing like a roasted veggie or some type of meat like grilled chicken, you can make those things ahead of time. Put them in some refrigerator containers or freezer containers if that works better for you. And make sure that you have storage containers available to you. So this could be like a casserole dish or some meal prep containers, reusable things. Glass is preferred. If plastic is the only option you have, go for it. Okay. Again, keep it simple, do what works best for you. I'd like to do, I've got some quick meal prep tips or hacks, like using the tools that you have available. So things that are huge time savers for me and my family are I have a tool that chops vegetables really easily. It's like kind of like an all-in-one. I think I got it on Amazon a couple years ago. It was maybe 30 to 40 bucks, but it has interchangeable, uh, like the different slicers if you want to slice things, if you want to chop them. So having tools like that is a huge time saver for me during the week, as well as things like a slow cooker or an air fryer, or if you have some type of pressure cooker. These really help cut down on your cooking times and meal prep. So sometimes, let's say I'm meal prepping a lunch and it's a bowl of some sort. So it's got a rice, it's got a protein, and it's got some veggies. I usually throw the rice in the pressure cooker, and while that's cooking, I'm making my protein, so like chicken or whatever, in a skillet on the stove. And while all that's cooking, I can quickly dice up my veggies. It usually takes me 20, 30 minutes to meal prep, and I've got meals now for the next 3 days. Okay, so think about things like these little things that can save you time. If it helps when you're going through the grocery store to buy veggies or your meats that are already chopped, maybe they're frozen. Again, nothing wrong with these things. If it helps save you time and money, go for it. Grab it, throw it in your cart. So a couple quick things here. Common mistakes that I see a lot of people making is like prepping way too much food. Okay, so they haven't laid out their plan. They're not sure how much they're going to need. Maybe they make too much or they don't make enough to have enough portions. So again, having that plan is going to help you avoid prepping too much and wasting food, or not prepping enough and then having to scramble at the last minute. The other big thing, like I've talked about now, is overcomplicating recipes. It does not have to be a big, complicated recipe that takes an hour to make. Keep it simple. My biggest go-to for keeping things simple is a bowl, because you can swap out a couple things like the veggies or the protein or maybe the seasoning, and it changes the flavor profile completely, but they're so easy to make. It's like three main ingredients, right? Um, do not overcomplicate your recipes. Keep them as simple as possible. And also, if it's helpful, not labeling your containers can lead to confusion. So if you're meal prepping a couple different things, just write a quick note on there or put a piece of tape on, right on there what you made, when you made it, or what night it's planned for, if that's helpful for you. But not labeling your containers can lead to confusion, which might lead to wasted food. Um, Reuse ingredients as much as you can. So if let's say you plan a couple meals and they all have chicken, okay, so make all your chicken at one time so you can reuse that. Just throw it on top of a salad, on a bowl, in a wrap. Okay, using like I mentioned, pre-cut or frozen veggies is a big time saver. All right, so this is a really big insight into what I teach inside of my Fit and Thriving program. I wanted to come back into that. I teach women how to do things like this, very basic things, how to fit these meals into their lives so that they can still eat the food that they enjoy, that they know that their families are going to eat. I also teach them how to exercise effectively and efficiently and show them that you do not have to spend hours inside of a gym or even go to a gym. There's a lot of things you can do at home. And so I've got several videos out there. You can go look through my YouTube channel and kind of piece it together yourself. Or if you would like additional help, somebody to actually look at what your goals are, where you are now to where you want to be, what the plan is, what it would look like, your actual roadmap to reach those steps, and then having a person there to hold your hand and coach you through every single step of the way, navigating the nuances, because there's always going to be things that pop up in life, right? Little roadblocks, the gotchas of life, and having someone there to kind of help you problem solve in a way, to get around those and to keep moving forward so that you can start to adopt these things into your lifestyle as habits so you don't even have to think about doing it. If you would like more details on that program, you would like to know what that looks like, what it looks like to work with a coach, how I help busy women in their 30s and 40s, I'm going to drop a link below. But if you pop over to my Instagram channel and DM, so send me a private message with the word prep, I'll know you watched this video and you're interested in learning a little bit more about the Fit and Thriving program. Otherwise, I hope you check out some of the other videos on my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you all really soon.